Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Night Ranger brings its 40th anniversary tour to Capital One Hall in Tysons, Virginia tomorrow night. I spoke to bassist and vocalist Jack Blades about his Night Ranger hits like Sister Christian and his Damn Yankees hits like High Enough. Hey, Jack Blades. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in DC.
Well, I'm glad to be here. We're excited about coming to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, of course. Night Ranger, your famous band, is going to be coming to Capital One Hall in Tysons, Virginia on Friday, July 7th. Now, I know you all are billing this as like the 40th anniversary tour, I guess, because that first album was in 82. So I guess we're, 83. Yeah, okay, 40, a little over 40. You're continuing it. Are we going to hear mostly that album, or are you going to sprinkle in some greatest hits, any new stuff? What do we got?
Oh no, man! We're going to be playing everything under the sun. We're going to play all the stuff some of the old stuff, some new stuff. We'll play some Damn Yankees songs. We'll kick out some stuff that, the good thing about Night Ranger is every show's different. We play whatever we want to play. I mean, we get in the mood. We'll do a song. We'll play a song that we've like grown up listening to. You know what I mean? It's like crazy, and the audience sings along. Everybody has a great time. Night Ranger shows are always like interactive shows, man. Everybody's singing, everybody's having a good time. Oh, it's going to be great.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, you stole my next question. I was going to ask if you were going to do any Damn Yankee stuff, but all right. So that's good. Fans of that band can come check it out too. All right, awesome. Well, whenever I have someone like yourself famous on, I love to sort of hear your journey. Like I know you were born in Cali in like 54. What did you listen to growing up? You know, how'd you get bit by the bug?
Oh, I mean, I grew up listening to all kinds of music. I started playing guitar. My parents gave me like a $1 plastic ukulele when I was 8 years old. And the first thing I got, when I heard the Beatles, when I was like 10, I think it was in 64 or something like that. And it was just, I love that. I love my dad. My dad's comment is like, oh, in 6 months, you'll never hear about these guys. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, that worked out differently for him. But anyway, I mean, the Beatles, of course, harmonies influenced us, and then as I got older, I started playing, because no one else could go out and buy a bass amp or a bass guitar. I ended up, when I was in junior high school, I think I was 13, my parents bought me the bass guitar because there was, I was playing guitar then, rhythm guitar, and there was like 150,000 rhythm guitar players, but nobody played bass. So it's like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll play bass. So I've been the bass player for forever and ever and ever. However, music has, like influenced me in so many different ways. I mean, I was listening to like heavily influenced in the late 60s and early 70s to British metal, like Zeppelin and Cream and those kind of bands and Deep Purple and things like that. And then in the mid 70s, I got totally into funk music and started listening to like Sly and the Family Stone and Tower of Power and and all this kind of stuff and just great stuff. And that's when we formed the band Rubicon, which was like a funk rock band in 1976. And it was Brad Gillis, our guitarist from Night Ranger, was in that band with me. And Kelly Kagi, our drummer, was the touring drummer at the end of that band in 1979. So, I mean, so much, I've been influenced by so many different kinds of music, and it just keeps going and going and going till this very day, man. I love pop music. I love singer-songwriters. I love Simon and Garfunkel. I love everything. I love Ozzy. I love, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden, just to every level of music. So music has just influenced me, everything. It all comes into me, and then it comes out, and it becomes Night Ranger.
Oh, I love it. And you're naming some amazing artists of all time. And I thanks for sharing that story about your dad that thought the Beatles were just 15 minutes of fame. Your dad thought they were the Fad Four, but you were like, no, Dad, it's the Fab Four.
Right.
Awesome. Well, you did a great job of sort of, telling us sort of your early bands and your early days playing and everything. But how exactly did Night Ranger form there in 79 in San Francisco? What's the story you've told a million times, the abridged version? How'd the guys get together?
Well, I mean, like I said before, I was in this band called Rubicon, and Brad Gillis was in the band. And at the very end of the band in 1979, Kelly was the touring drummer. So the three of us are together, but my roommate at the time was Alan Fitzgerald Fitz, who was the bass player with Montrose and Gamma, and also he played keyboards with Sammy Hagar. And he was my roommate, like I said at the time. And so he said, you know, in beginning of 1980, he said, why don't we form a rock band? I know this guy from Sacramento, this kid in Sacramento named Jeff Watson, and I can bring him in. Why don't you bring your rhythm section, your guys, Brad and your drummer Kelly and you, and why don't we form a rock band? So we kind of did that. And we were all at that time, if you think about it, we were big Thin Lizzy fans at that time. I mean, the Thin Lizzy about 80, 81, that was the high water mark for Thin Lizzy and everything like that. And if you think about Night Ranger, there's like, you know, 2 lead guitars, a bass player that sings, and you know, that kind of thing. And it's like what Thin Lizzy is: 2 lead guitar, 2 harmony guitars, bass player that sings. You know, we just had, you know, we added the keyboards and everything like that. And so we just started out in 1980 and got a record deal in 1982, and boom, like you said, here we are 41 years later and still doing it. And it's been such a joy that the audience has been with us for all these years. You know, that's the whole thing. It's like a celebration of music, of 40 years of rock and roll, of good old kick-ass American rock and roll. When you come to a Night Ranger show, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, let's touch on some of the big hits that, you know, a little deeper dive on some of the big ones they might hear. So I know that first album, Dawn Patrol in 82, had Don't Tell Me You Love Me. Any memories of, you know, who wrote that, or just you guys recording it in studio? Like, any good tidbits on Don't Tell Me You Love Me?
Yeah, Don't Tell Me You Love Me was like, I'd written that song and I kind of brought it in. It was almost like at the end of the sessions, you know, and I had, hey, I got this idea of the song, and I brought it into the band, and we just, you know, monkey wrenched, you know, we wrenched on it, and it came out to be this like killer song. And, you know, here's what, I read an article once that all the Motown songs, everything was like, you know, you know, Berry Gordy and Motown would like say, I just want something that grabs you from the very first, like, you know, how stop in the name of love, you know, and things like that, or down, you know, just all these things that they'd have, like ain't no mountain high, just everything was just, it'd grab you right off the bat. So we thought, what could we get? We're a brand new band. We need something that really kind of would draw attention. And that was the whole idea behind the when you hear that at the beginning, you hear Brad's guitar, and then all of a sudden, bum, 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 and people are like, what the hell is this? You know, what is this bum, bum, bum? It's like, whoa, here's what's coming out of the radio right now. And that was the idea behind that. And that's kind of how we built around the whole thing of Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And then of course, MTV started out, and it was right around the same time. MTV, like, you know, this brand new thing that everybody was kind of digging and getting into and stuff like that. And at the time, I think maybe they had 6 or 7 videos, and we made a video and gave it to them. So they started playing it like 14 times a day. And
you were in that very limited rotation.
I'm telling you, man, it was like us and like Duran Duran's Hungry Like a Wolf, I think, or something like that. But I mean, it was like, there wasn't, and so suddenly they started banging us all the time on MTV, and it was this fresh new thing. And we started going out on the road, and everywhere we hit a town, people, it was like you were a TV star or something, you know what I mean? Our first tour with Hagar was the beginning of 1983, and all of a sudden we come into towns and people go, oh, I saw you on MTV, I saw you on MTV, and we were being recognized and stuff. It was crazy, man. That's kind of what kicked off the whole Night Ranger thing. Here we are 40 years later.
That's awesome. And then we have to at least touch on the second album was even bigger, Midnight Madness, because, you know, it had When You Close Your Eyes, but then the big one, obviously, Sister Christian. Tell me about just putting together that song, crafting it, how I love how it sort of starts off a little slow, but then it's that boom, boom, and starts builds, and we listeners can almost feel it building inside of us until motor, and like, tell me the idea behind that to kind of slowly build and ramp it up to the chorus.
Well, we had actually written, we had the song Sister Christian. We had that for the first album, but for some reason we didn't put it on the first album. I don't know if it was some genius decided to save it, or they just didn't think it was right for the first album and everything like that. So it was something that we had demos of that song in like 1981 and stuff like that, in 1982. So, wow. But when we finally decided to put it on, we said, okay, let's make the record. Let's make it a big crescendo. The same thing to catch people's attention. You know what I mean? That whole idea of just like dum 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 dum. Here's the build up, and then the famous drum thing at the end. I love it. Where Kelly very at the end he goes ba 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 bum. bum, 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 bum. I mean, how that came about is that we were trying to do it at the very end, and we were in the recording studio, and he kept trying these different runs all the time, and it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and he was getting so pissed off because our producer was like, nope, that's not right. Okay, try it again. It's like, nope, that's not right. Let's try something else. Nope, that's not. So he got so frustrated that just at the end of the song, we just went bum, and he went bum, 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 and just looked at him like almost like a big middle finger, like, you know, fuck you type thing. and everybody in the recording studio went, that's it, that's it, that's the one, that's the one. So it was just like him being pissed off and just like, I'm just going to throw this at you. And that ended up being the crucial part of that song. So, I mean, crazy stuff, you know, like that happened.
I love that story. So the end drum hit came out of frustration and a big middle finger to them trying to get him to keep playing it different ways. That's hilarious.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, it's an all-timer song. One of like the biggest song. When I think of like the 80s, it's one of the first that comes to mind. But did you what did you think when you saw Boogie Nights? And you know, that was more like 97, I guess. Like, did they reach out and say, hey, we're gonna put it in this movie? Or was it like one of those like, oh, let's go check this new Paul Thomas Anderson guy out, and then you just happened to see it while you're in the theater? Like, what was your experience seeing it in that movie? It was like a major moment in the movie.
Well, that was the whole thing. They pitched this to us. It's kind of like this independent movie that this dude Paul Thomas Anderson, who didn't have the rep yet. You know, he was a brand new kind of edgy film guy and everything like that. And you know, it had all these people in it with you know, Wahlberg and freaking what's his name,
Philip Seymour Hoffman, and
I mean, it was killer. I mean, he had amazing people in it, and so we said, well, it sounds kind of cool. It's kind of like off the grid, and it's going to be kind of like a underground, a cult favorite, and all that kind of stuff. We said, yeah, okay, let's let him, you know, go for it. You can use the song, no problem, and stuff like that. And then we didn't really. I mean, they kind of told us about it and everything like that. But then when we went to see the song, and Kelly and my wife and I are sitting in the audience, and we're sitting in the movie theater, and we're watching the moment in that house in L.A. where that crazy drug dude is like, the firecrackers are going off in the background, and they're getting ready to, and everybody's like higher than a kite and all jacked out of their minds and all tweaked out and everything like that, and all this craziness was going on, and all of a sudden we're looking at it, and Kelly and I looked over to each other and we started sweating, and we leaned over and we go, I think we've been in that guy's house in the 80s. I mean, it was so funny.
A little too familiar.
I mean, that was way too familiar, man. We started sweating and everything like that. We went, whoa, this is way too realistic, you know.
Oh,
but anyway, that was a great way to do that. And I mean, here we are like this year, and the movie Air with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they put Sister Christian in that also. So it's the song, you know, it's become, you know, a song in the collective consciousness of America, and it's just wonderful.
Absolutely. Oh, well, Air is a great movie about the Air Jordan. Everyone check that out. What's it on? Prime, I think? I can't remember. Either way, check it out.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, Boogie Nights and Sister Christian is amazing. And Burt Reynolds, it was sort of like his comeback role. I mean, I know he'd done
Burt Reynolds, that's right. Yeah.
That's the name you were searching for. It was, you know, he had done Deliverance and Smokey and the Bandit and Longest Yard and all that back in the 70s, but you know, by the 90s, you know, this was like a comeback. He got his only Oscar nomination for that, but rest in peace, Burt Reynolds. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for going into that. I guess I don't know. We obviously probably don't have time to go into all of them, but you know, Seven Wishes followed up, and Big Life was after that. Man in Motion. But then remind our listeners, you sort of alluded to the Damn Yankees at the top, but I guess after those albums, you left Night Ranger briefly to form Damn Yankees with Tommy Shaw of Styx, and of course Ted Nugent and the guys. Tell me about Can You Take Me High Enough? I can't sing, but everyone knows that power ballad. Talk to me about the Damn Yankees days, and particularly High Enough. Was that just a great treat to do something different from Night Ranger for a minute?
Yeah. High Enough was a great. I mean, well, it was like a minute. It was like 5 years we were in Damn Yankees. It was
a relative minute against 40 years. Yeah,
a relative New York minute, right? Yeah, exactly. But it was really Damn Yankees is a great band, a fun band, and that's why, like, you know, we got to play a couple Damn Yankees songs when we see you July 7th in Tyson's, you know, at the Capital One Theater. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be wild, but we're going to definitely play some songs. I mean, High Enough was one of the songs that Tommy Shaw and I kind of pulled that together and wrote that song. Like literally that whole song was finished and written and done in like less than an hour. And we were always, we were kind of afraid to play it for Ted because, it's a ballad and he thought we were a couple of pussies and stuff like that. And we were just forming, damn Yankees and everything like that. But we went in and played it for him on a cassette and he sat back and he's like got a toothpick in his mouth and he's like leaning back in his chair. And at the end of the song, he goes, "Yep, I know what this song needs." And we're like, "Oh, here it comes. Here we go. He's going to like totally lambast." He goes, he picks up the guitar and here's what it needs. It needs this. In the beginning of the chorus. All these dive bop. And Tommy and I looked at each other and go, "That's exactly what it needs." And the rest is history. That was a #1 record, man. That's a killer song. And man, well, nobody's playing it right now, so we're gonna be playing it at Tyson's, man. July 7th, you're gonna be hearing that. You'll hear some other Yanks, and who knows what you're gonna hear. But we're gonna kick it all out. We're not holding anything back when we hit Virginia, baby.
Awesome. We can't wait. And I love the teaser that you're going to play High Enough. And who knows what else, folks? You got to come out. Are they going to throw in Where You Going Now? What are they going to play? Are they going to do Silence Is Broken from Jean-Claude Van Damme's movie Nowhere to Run? You never know what they're going to slip in the set list, baby. But it's mostly Night Ranger, I'm sure. And we're so excited to see the show. So Jack, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Like, it's so much fun talking with you.
My pleasure. We want to see everybody July 7th, man. Come on down to Tyson's. Come on down to the Capitol Theater. You're going to have a blast. It's going to be American kick-ass rock and roll. Case closed.
Capital One Hall, Tyson's, Virginia, Friday, July 7th. Night Ranger. Jack Blades, thanks so much, man.
You got it, brother. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.